Hello everyone, Digigex90 here, and welcome to another episode of my review series. For this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the Season 9 premiere of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, called The Beginning of the End. Now, before I delve into my thoughts on this episode, there is one thing I want to bring up. I know that my Season 9 marathon was supposed to start around January or so, and to be honest, I apologize about that. See, I was supposed to start the marathon with school days featuring special guest Avatar Michiru. We have managed to wrote some of the script together, but I ended up skipping that review for now due to her being very busy with college. And before that, I was going to start the marathon with Nuntree on Mud Couple, but as of recently, he and I were sidetracked with different things, so I decided to wait until the premiere of Season 9 to start reviewing again. I'm planning on reviewing Season 8 when either this current season is officially over, or we get a mid-season hiatus. To be honest, it's very likely to happen at some point, in my opinion. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get started. I got to say, I freaking love this premiere. The plot of the episode, the characters that were used here, the pacing, etc. Everything was done so well here. Well, for the most part. But I'll get to my nitpicks in this review soon. After all, what review is complete without a bit of nitpicking? Now, I'm going to admit that when I first heard that Celestia and Luna were going to retire, that actually surprised me and threw me off in the wrong way at first, because so many questions were raising in my head, like, what are Luna and Celestia going to do after giving Twilight the Throne to Canterlot? Are they going to keep the power of moving the sun and moon, or are they going to give that to Twilight? So, yeah, so many questions. But, to think of it now, I'm a bit mixed with the idea of Twilight Sparkle being the new leader of Equestria. Why is that? Well, for one, despite having her own castle in a way, I do feel like that could be like the next big step for Twilight. But yet again, she already has her own castle. She already has the title of Princess of Friendship, so what the hell? Are they actually going to make her queen? Royalty doesn't work that way! But if Twilight being the new leader of Equestria is bound to happen at the end of the series, it does really beg the question, what will happen to her crystal castle once the coronation happens? For me, I guess a few things could happen, like, once Twilight becomes the new leader of Equestria, the Young Six could probably do the friendship missions later down the road. Or there could be a possibility that Twilight's castle could actually blow up by Grogar or someone else. Kind of like how Tierak blew up Twilight's Oak Library in the episode Twilight's Kingdom. I'm going to say this right now. If some of you guys in the comments say that idea feels off in so many ways, I actually agree with you on that to an extent. Because we've gotten used to Twilight's castle for so long that if it were to explode, I would feel really off by that. But who knows? It could happen, or it might not. We'll just have to wait and see. I am actually glad that later on in the premiere, they realized that their announcement to retire was really a bit much for Twilight, so they decided to give her the proper training she needs in time to prepare for the coronation. And thank God, because announcing something like that out of the blue without the proper build-up and stuff can really lead to someone panicking a bit. Hell, I would have felt the same way if I would have heard that announcement. Seriously, Celestia and Luna, what the freaking hell? Now, I got to admit, I liked how after Twilight's freakout, her friends were like,
"Hey, it's not really that surprising you would freak out over something like this.
considering them being friends with her for quite a long time. And I really like that word twilighting.
We did.
Classic twilighting.
Twilighting? You made me a verb?
That line is so funny that now it is actually one of my favorite words from the show, next to every creature and every pony. Now, this line that Rainbow said.
Aren't there to help?
If you think about it, they literally almost never help.
Wow. When I first saw this episode, I was not expecting her to say that. It is true that Celestia and Luna haven't helped out the main six as much throughout the series, but man, if Celestia and Luna would have been there, I feel like they might have actually felt bad after hearing that. Hell, I actually would feel bad in a way if I was in Celestia or Luna's hooves. Anyways, I love that for the final season, the staff finally decided to have the unreformed villains team up to make their own alliance. And I really like the build-up to it, especially the build-up to their leader. I'm just hoping that this Legion of Doom will have more recruits in the later episodes of the season, because I would love to see a very epic final battle with Twilight and her friends against the villains that we have for a long time, as well as a few new villains. As for my opinions on each villain that appeared in this episode, well, let's start with T-Rex. T-Rex hadn't done much in this episode other than being unamused with Cozy Glow's antics and talking about Grogar's history. To be honest, I'm not really bothered by this since he hasn't really done anything to annoy me. At least not yet. But I have doubts he would even do anything so childish and crap. About Cozy Glow, for someone that I really can't stand in Season 8, I am actually glad that she was dumped down here. And thank God that she wasn't the leader of this Legion of Doom. Because if she was, I would have been pissed. Because she does not deserve to be leader of the team due to her age. And by the way, I actually like when this episode decided to use her as a freaking punching bag.
Don't ring any bells.
Grogar! I have been away too long if my name no longer strikes fear into the heart of one so tiny.
Means.
Silence!
Serves you right, biatch! Now, as for Queen Chrysalis, to be honest, I actually kind of felt bad for her. Why? Two things. One, she actually got banished from her own kingdom after her own subjects rebelled against her. And two, she attempted to create the evil clones to impersonate the main six and tried to eliminate Starlight afterwards, but the clones actually rebelled against her and, well, they actually got destroyed. And now, it looks like she's gotten to the point where she almost lost her insanity. But I'm actually glad that she has some sanity left when she actually talked with the others. But still, I still really feel bad for her regardless. There could be a possibility that she might get reformed this time around, which I'm actually fine with since the show is about to end. I wasn't with the idea before because the show seemed to do a bit too many reformations and execute those reformations in a rushed manner. I'm just hoping that her reformation will happen throughout the entire season rather than just having 2 or 3 episodes of it. But other than that, she hasn't really done much in this episode either. But, just like T-Rex, I'm fine with that because the episode wasn't really meant to focus on her, Cozy, and T-Rex. Now, it's time for the 2 villains that had the spotlight for this premiere, Grogar and Sombra. Let's start with Grogar first because he was the lesser of the 2 in terms of screen time. I got to say this right now! Thank you, staff of the show! Thank you for bringing Grogar to the show! This was like my big request for a while! And for season 9, you pulled it off! Again, thank you so much! Okay, I'm a little calm this time. But there is something I want to say this right now. I've been wanting Grogar to appear in the show ever since Season 5. Want to know why? Because ever since the staff brought T-Rex to the show as the main antagonist for Season 4, I thought the next logical step, at least in my opinion, was to bring Grogar to the show since, like T-Rex, he actually has big potential. Plus, to be honest, I'm not the only one who felt this way. Because, according to the villain's Wikia, there was a popular fan speculation of him being a Season 5 main antagonist. But, y'all know that wasn't really the case. Instead, it was Starlight Glimmer. Instead of scrapping the villain entirely, it actually took them about, I don't know, 4 seasons to add him into the show. But hey, to be honest, you know the old saying, it's better late than never. For my opinion on him so far, well, he actually brought a very good impression on me. And I actually hope he keeps that good impression throughout this entire season, because if I see anything really stupid coming out of him that was meant for comedy, but it's poorly executed, or I actually seen some stupid crybaby moments, oh god, I would be severely disappointed. I would be pissed off immensely. But I am pretty sure the staff has kept his good impressions in mind. Now, I like that from what we gathered from T-Rex and a few villains, he's been established as a creature that had lived far longer than any other villain that has come to the show. And apparently he was once an emperor of all pre-Equestria. Which I find that really amusing because I was always wondering if there were like any villains that showed up before Celestia came in as ruler of Equestria. Now, I am fully aware that he was mentioned back in Season 7 when Twilight was reading a book to the Phillies and cultists at the hospital about him and how he got defeated by Gusting the Great and her Unicorn Warriors. And I'm actually fine with this considering that there was a Gusty in G1 in the episode The Return of Tamalon. I need to remind myself to review that in the future. And considering Gusty removed the bell from Grogar's harness, I do like that he still has some magic left in him. Probably not enough to take over Equestria, but at least enough to where he managed to resurrect Sombra, break T-Rex and Cozy Glow out of the Tartarus without anyone noticing that they were gone, brought Chrysalis out of hiding in the Everfree Forest, and gave enough magic to T-Rex to allow him to grow a little larger. About his design, well, I'm gonna be honest here, I'm a bit mixed with it. On one hand, for what the staff really wanted to go in mind, it looks fine. I mean, I like that they went with the design I was expecting. A blue demon ram with blue horns and him having a harness around his neck. While they actually added a few new features like a mohawk mane and some weird tail. And especially has pupils this time around. But on the other hand, the new design just looks a little off to me because I was expecting his tail to look a little more fluffier instead of that weird tail that just looks like if a man was about to tie his hair with a ponytail. And I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of that mohawk mane. Why? Because it looks way too ridiculous and silly to be placed on a villain that's meant to look menacing. If it were up to me, I would have had that mohawk mane removed. I would have had his tail changed to where it looks like his G1 counterpart, and I would have actually changed up the eyes to where he actually has red eyes. And if pupils really need to be added, I would have made them yellow. Why? Because in my opinion, yellow goes well with red. Sorry about my outrage there. Now, about Grogar's voice. For those who don't know, the G1 counterpart was voiced by Michael Bell. And despite his voice was a bit too raspy, I think Michael did a good job voicing as the character. For Generation 4, he's voiced by Doc Harris, which I don't know much about him besides that he voiced in a few projects like Bionicle Mask of Light and Dragon Ball Z. And I actually think Doc Harris also did a good job voicing as the character. But if I were to pick one that I think is the better voice actor, I would go with Doc Harris. One more thing I want to say about Grogar is that I like that for the fact that he's the leader of this Legion of Doom, and he doesn't screw around like a blabbering idiot. And I especially love the way that when Sombra was boasting that he can take over Equestria on his own, he just sends him out like,
I don't have time for your boastering shit. Get the fuck out of my sight, Sombra!
That right there was a great comedic moment. I'm hoping that Grogar will become the most challenging villain that the main six has ever fought with. Considering that he has got lackeys by his side, I can see that potentially happening. Also, again, I hope he actually gets some new baddie recruits. Come on, I really want to see that. Now, time for the last villain, Sombra. To me, he was a mixed bag. For one, I did like how this episode was an improvement from him over Season 3. Because in the Season 3 premiere, he was intimidating, but he didn't really do much in terms of action, which was really quite disappointing in my opinion. In the Season 9 premiere, I like how he took over the Crystal Empire again, even though it was a bit too easy this time around. Also, right after he was defeated the first time, he managed to find the Tree of Harmony and smash it into pieces with his crystals. Heck, I love that he was very close to succeeding in his goal, similar to T-Rex in Season 4 and Chrysalis in Season 6. And he had the fears of the main six actually coming true. Although, I don't really like his new voice because it sounds a bit less intimidating and menacing as before. And I know some reviewers have brought this point up, including Miss Anthropony, but I'm going to say it anyway. His new voice comes across as some guy who's trying to sound like a comic book villain, and it just doesn't really fit with the character in mind. Want to know what else I don't like? I really hated that after he destroyed the tree, he had the main six trapped into a prison, and he was this close to control their minds. But you wanna know what happened? He decided not to do it! I'm not fucking kidding! Want to know why? Because he has a massive ego that he thinks that he already won, to where he doesn't necessarily need to control the main six. Really dumb decision if you ask me. And because of that, at the end of the episode, he just got his ass blasted by the main six. If I was Sombra, I would have actually had the main six under my control, and actually had them defeat Starswirl, the Pillars of Equestria, and the fucking princesses. And also Discord. So, yeah. Overall, Sombra is just a mixed bag for me in this episode. Now, about Discord, I think he was great in this episode. Instead of doing everything for Twilight, he was being used as a support character to encourage Twilight to overcome her obstacles on her own. And even though he was acting it out, I did admire that he took the blast from Sombra that was meant to be for Fluttershy. I also admired the amount of emotion Entry and Lieutenant pulled off when Discord fell into the ground. It really felt like if you were in that situation trying to protect your loved one or someone else you like from a bullet or a powerful magic blast. Although, then again, he was faking it, but it was done in a way where he had a purpose for faking it, and it helped Twilight gain her self-confidence. And it comes to show you how much Discord really cares about Twilight and her friends, and I for one really admire that. Although, Discord taking a blast from a villain that was meant to aim at a helpless ally. Where have I seen that before?
My brunch!
Well, what do you know? You're just a little schoolgirl playing dress-up. Some great warrior you turned out to be. No more games. Time to obliterate you.
Flutter!
Gotcha! Oh, you should have seen the look on your face. You were like, oh no, Discord, don't die! Relax, Sailor Moon. I'm immortal. I can't die.
How very convenient. Anyways, even putting that stupid retirement thing into the equation, I really like the part when Celestia, Luna, and Starsworld arrive to help fend off the Everfree Forest, while the main six head to Canterlot to stop Sombra. And about Twilight's friends, I liked how they were pulled off in this episode. Rainbow Dash still being her confident self and being quick into action, but still having some strain with her ego. Applejack having mutual support for others in Twilight. Rarity putting aside her fear of getting dirt in her husband's body just to dig out of their imprisonment and get her sister back from Sombra. Pinkie Pie being her usual silly self, but at times being mature, like the scene where they were trapped by Sombra's crystals. And Fluttershy, showing her care of the animals by using herself as a shield for the creatures against the dangerous plants, and her hopping out Rainbow Dash fight off against Sombra's forces. Again, their actions in this episode were done pretty well. In regards to the climax, apart from Sombra essentially being a throwaway villain, it's still pretty entertaining to watch. Especially seeing Twilight defending herself against Sombra's blasts. And the ending is pretty well done. I liked when Grogar decided not to have Sombra resurrected again, so he can show his allies a warning about going against his plan of working together against the main six. And I love how the episode ends with some cliffhanger that leaves the season with high stakes. Now, as much as I praise this episode, there are a few nitpicks I have to say about it. For one, like I mentioned before, the whole retirement thing coming out of nowhere without the proper training, which made Twilight panic a bit. My second nitpick is that there were a few scenes that I felt like that were kind of rushed. Like for example, King Sombra taking over the Crystal Empire so easily, and the main six coming in to destroy him with the elements of harmony. Granted, I'm glad Sombra managed to survive from that first blast and literally destroy the Tree of Harmony with his magic, but it does feel a little off when you watch that scene along with him getting defeated the first time so easily. Now, my last nitpick has to do with for the fact that Bray is absent from this premiere. For those who don't know, Bray is a donkey that was Grogar's second in command in the Generation 1 episode, The Return of Tamerlane, which Grogar originated from as well. You might be asking me, why am I nitpicking about this part? Well, to be honest, for some reason in my eyes, imagining Grogar without Bray by his side just feels sort of weird. I'm not for sure I'm the only one, but Grogar and Bray together is like this pair. Not a romantic one or anything, but a pair of two villains that's like Beavis and Butthead. You can't have one without the other. It's hard to describe what I'm talking about, but for some reason I just can't imagine Grogar without Bray. Well, most of the time. Actually, to be honest, if he was in the show, I know that in the premiere he probably wouldn't have that much big of a role like Chrysalis and T-Rex, but it would be nice to have him in there somewhere. But come to think of it though, maybe the staff is planning to have Bray in the season somewhere. Like maybe he could be Grogar's old second command when he used to be the Emperor of Prequestria. Or he could appear somewhere later down the road and join Grogar's Legion of Doom. I don't know, just something. Come on, staff! Show us Bray later down in the season, please! Anyways, beside from my nitpicks, overall, this episode is still awesome. This premiere will go down in history as my most favorite MLP premiere of all time, beside from the pilot and the Season 2 premiere. It isn't a perfect premiere since I do have a few problems with it, but the problems are overshadowed with so many positives. And to be honest, this premiere makes me feel like that this season is going to be as good as the past seasons, if not better. Now, you might be asking me, what would I love to see in Season 9 before the season ends? Well, two things. One, Grogar getting new recruits to his Legion of Doom, probably adding Bray in there somewhere. And two, I would love to see a grand epic finale of Twilight and her friends going up against Grogar and his Legion of Doom, and the finale end on a very high note. Probably Twilight ending up becoming leader of Equestria at the finale, or something else happening. I don't know, but I still would love to see a very happy ending. Well, that's about it for my review of the Season 9 premiere. Before I go, I want to state this that there might be some episodes of Season 9 that I might skip in terms of reviewing, because they might not be that special to me as other episodes. And I will be doing collabs on certain episodes. Like for example, my first collab on my Season 9 reviewing marathon will be the 200th episode, Twilight 7. Anyways, this is Digigex90's signing out, and be sure to look out for more Season 9 reviews. Peace!
I'd like to thank Sim64 for the new intro he made for me. I got to admit, it looks a lot better than the last intro. Although, I felt like he should have kept the PlayStation 1 part of the intro since I like that part. But, for what it is, I'm fine with it. His channel will be linked in the description below along with a link to my second channel, my Twitter, today's fan art, and my DeviantArt. Anyways, subscribe to my channel for future content, and I will see you on the next video.